I was recently introduced to Togi, who's this crazy, degenerate, partying, gambling, crypto, steroid-using internet personality who somehow has millions of followers and millions of dollars. But after listening to a long-form podcast interview with Togi, I realized that there was a lot more going on than what may meet the eye. Togi's first big break came when he made some huge bets in crypto and ended up making himself millions of dollars. But that story is not a unique one. There's a lot of people that gamble on crypto, make a lot of money, and realistically, Togi ended up losing all that money anyway. But what's crazy is that then he decided to get famous on social media. That was his next big business plan on how he was gonna make millions more dollars, and somehow he pulled it off. So the question is, how does somebody just decide that they're gonna get famous on social media? The answer is they don't. This is something that was planned. Togi knew what he was doing when he stepped into the social media game, and it isn't the first time we've seen this. If we think of Andrew Tate, even Jake Paul, even Conor McGregor for that matter. These guys did not get rich and famous by accident. They took a huge risk by adopting a character. And not only a character, but a highly polarizing persona that made people love or hate them. So here's how Togi did it. He picked steroid use, which if you guys are familiar with the fitness industry at all, you know that this is one of the biggest debated topics among all fitness influencers. You can't get on YouTube without seeing a natty or not video, and it's something that every fitness influencer is accused of. So what does he do? He leans into it and almost promotes the use of steroids. But our boy Togi, he doesn't stop there. Not only is he eating steroids for breakfast, but he starts adding on drugs, doing copious amounts of them. He's staying up for days straight, he's partying, he's gambling, he's overdosing, he's having breakdowns, and he's documenting the whole thing for the world to see. Now, when we're talking about polarization, I don't know that the extreme degenerate is necessarily the brand that I would have chose, but what we all have to agree on is that it worked. The guy has 1.4 million followers on Instagram between his two accounts. He has 600,000 YouTube subscribers, and he's kind of a marketing genius. Now, Togi's had his fair share of successes completely by chance, like millions of dollars in crypto and millions of dollars gambling on slots, which I don't know how he even pulled that off. But the thing is that even whenever Togi loses big at the slot machine or gambling on crypto, or even if he's overdosing or having a breakdown, he still wins because that is part of his polarizing character. And he continues to build his following based off of this polarization. This is how he's amassed millions of followers and has even monetized things like making a painting and selling it for $150,000 to one of his audience members. The fact is, the kid is doing a lot of things right. I mean, first of all, to go all in on some crypto coin, he's taking big risks. He's taking chances, and that is part of success, is you have to take big risks. But then for him to say something like, I just chose to get famous. Not a lot of people have that kind of self-belief that you would have to take the big risks in the first place, or to actually see it through and amass millions of followers. And most importantly, he understood marketing. He had a strategy, he had a character, and he fully went all in on polarization. But Togi's not the only one to execute this strategy. He was just following in the footsteps of other famous people and influencers who had already paved the way for exploiting the shock factor. For instance, Jake Paul is probably one of the most famous internet trolls of all time, who had a lot of success on Vine and then parlayed that into his career on YouTube. And now everybody tunes in, millions of viewers, to see him get knocked out on television, which for some reason never seems to turn out the way that we all wish it would. But even though Jake Paul may not be our favorite internet personality, if you're to catch him out of context, say like on a business long-form podcast interview, it becomes very clear that Jake Paul, as you and I know him, is just a character. Conor McGregor ran the same playbook with this anti-hero kind of villain love-hate persona that made him one of the highest paid athletes of all time. You could put Floyd Money Mayweather in that same conversation, or even internet personalities like Andrew Tate, or people like Kanye West. The lesson is that marketing matters, packaging matters, And a strategy that you can follow matters if you want to turn that into views and you want to turn those views into money. It's not enough to be good at something. You have to have a story. You have to have an angle. And to be polarizing doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be some steroid-using degenerate gambling addict. Sorry, Togi. Think about big names in business like Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, or the work ethic of Jocko Willink or David Goggins, the philosophy of Jordan Peterson, Naval Ravikant, or even Alex Hormozi. Or think about the financial ideas of Dave Ramsey. These people are all arguably net positives on the world, or maybe not. Maybe when I say their names, you cringe a little bit. But that's kind of the point. It's these people's polarizing personas that further their mission. So if your message isn't hitting, if your business endeavors aren't working, or if things just aren't working in general, maybe it's time to take some risks. Take some lessons from Togi. Believe in yourself and do things differently. Because more times than not, different wins, especially in the attention economy. So I'm not like gonna do steroids or like anything crazy or like, ooh, but if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel and being okay with my character, I would really appreciate it. Also, YouTube is gonna have a video mentioned for you somewhere on either side of me that it knows that you're gonna love. So go ahead and give that a try, and we'll see you on the next one.